Hey guys, F26 here, and welcome to round 9 of ILR Season 2 here at a very wet Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix. As you can see, we've got full wet tyres on just to show how wet the track is, because you don't normally use the full wet tyres, and we're going to be seeing the inters in the race as well, so no let off from the rain this weekend, and that's annoying as that's a big slide on the exit of turn 1 and our delta switches to the red as a result. But yeah, my pace in the dry is very good around this track, in the wet however not so much, as we've actually managed to negotiate turn 2 quite nicely, making the apex there and not getting any wheel spin on the exit at all really, so that's pretty good turn 2. Unfortunately the mistakes through turn 1 has cost us quite a bit though on this lap, and hopefully we'll be able to improve later in the session. Sliding the car through turn 3, I can't help but think that's not the optimal way to do it, as we're getting oversteer all the way through turn 4 and down towards turn number 5 here. The car's gone into the corner quite nicely there actually, if we get a bit of oversteer on exit but nothing too much, as we now head into turn 6, understeering past the apex there. But not too major, as there's big oversteer on the exit, huge oversteer there, as we're unable to plant the power without the back end kicking out, as we've only got 2 corners to go now. Sliding through the penultimate corner as well, and the final corner, I've actually managed to negotiate that reasonably well, as we now head towards the line here for a 1 minute 14.5 there, and hopefully we'll be able to improve on that before the end of the session, because you want to be looking for higher on the grid. As you can see, we've currently dropped to P4, which is not what we want, and we're coming around to start what will be our final lap of the session, because I'm an idiot and I've cocked it up and we've crossed the line with 1 minute 12 to go, which is just about not enough to get 2 laps in, as we skate our way through turn 1 there, hopefully getting a better exit than last time. Indeed we do. But yeah, the track was getting close to inters, but I didn't think it was going to be ready, so I stuck with the wets, and hopefully we are able to push ourselves further up the leaderboard, as we've actually gone purple to sector 1 there, so that's a good start to that. We've now been pushed down to 5th, as Jamie has beaten us as well, so this is not looking very good for us. We need to make sure we get this lap in as we head down towards turn 3. Currently in the green on the delta, which is exactly what we want with poor sector 3 on this lap, but we've gone in a bit too deep into turn number 3 there. Oversteering still through turn 4, but we're still in the green now as we head towards the end of the middle sector. We've slid past the apex there, we can probably recover it, but Thomas's car is just driving on the racing line. He's got in my way there and ruined my lap, to be honest. Any chance we did have of improving is now gone, as we actually managed not to oversteer too badly on the exit of turn 7. Only 2 corners to go now, as Bonkers puts it on pole. We've committed way too much there, gone to Narnia, invalidated the lap. And yeah, that's just frustration from me, to be honest. But yeah, Thomas retiring there and ruining my lap as I show my displeasure by throwing it in the wall across the line. But yeah, it's Bonkers who takes pole then, ahead of Josu and Jamie, Palzeri in 4th, Chris in 5th actually on the inters, Kushmani in 6th, myself in 7th, and my teammate Dutchman in 8th, with Dylan and Thomas rounding out the top 10. So it could be worse. 7th isn't a horrendous place to start. I know, well, I'm hoping that my pace is as good as some of these guys, but we'll have to wait and see. The wet is a bit of an unknown, I'll be completely honest with you. Haven't driven this track in the rain really ever in a league race, apart from URC Season 1, which we did around here, which was wet for a bit. I finished 3rd in that one, so we'll be seeing if we can replicate that today. As you can see, intermediates for the entirety of the race, as we're going to make a couple of minor setup changes, just to allow us to be as quick as possible, hopefully, as we now will be preparing ourselves for the lights here in Austria, as we have them on now. Not very wet at all, the rain really isn't coming down, and it's 5 red lights now, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix. We've got an alright start. Chris Macca-Jones is lagging already, you hate to see it. We've managed to maintain 7th into turn 1. We've been quite late on the brakes, tapped the back of the Toro Rosso of Kushmania there, as Chris is lagging to Jerusalem and back, as we've got Dylan, who's had a great start from down in 9th on our outside, as he looks to make more up places on the start, as we're still very wary of Chris's lag as we head down towards turn 2. I have no idea where he is. He's sort of just got out of my way. Dylan's gone in too hot. He's hit the back of Kushmania, and I've driven into the Toro Rosso there. We're into neutral, which is not the correct gear, as we're going to drop positions hand over fist on the exit here, as Thomas has decided to brake, which is not good. I went to go to the inside for some reason instead of keeping there outside, which would have made a lot more sense. And unfortunately, I've almost pushed Dragon Pro off the track there, but I didn't really see that as my fault. But cars are both. A couple of cars have run wide in turn number 3. I think it was Dylan and Thomas. So that moves us back up through the position. So Chris is still lagging everywhere, but Thomas was still keeping it on the inside through turn number 5. But we're just about able to hang it around the outside and consolidate the position through turn 6. But as you can see, the track is pretty dry. There's not really much spray whatsoever on the screen, but it's definitely intermediates. DRS is not enabled as Chris still causing all kinds of carnage. I'm assuming he wasn't actually there on Midsy's screen, but just not really acceptable, his connection still. I know he's trying his best to fix it, but it's not working for everyone, and as a result something needs to be done, in my opinion, as we've slid our way through turn 1, which has given Tomas a bit of a run, but he decides to back out of it for some reason. I'm guessing he got oversteer on the run down towards turn 2. But yeah, Midsy, the championship leader, is ahead of us. He started well down the order, so he's managed to avoid the lap 1 carnage and get himself into a good points paying position here, of which I believe is 8th. Yes, and we're in 9th there. So good start from Midsy. Hopefully he can drag us up the field here, and we can follow him to what will hopefully be a top 5 result, but not the best of starts, I'll be honest, although at least we still have our front wing intact. Quite a few people came into the pits at the end of that one, so we were lucky, I guess, as we head towards the start of sector 3 here, just behind Midsy. We're closed up to him quite a lot there, and at this point I'm thinking he has damage. He was started to pull away from us through sector 1, but through the high speed corners we've closed up quite a lot, as we've almost run into the back of him through turn number 8 there, and he's just understeered off the track. And at this point I'm very confident that he is missing a bit of front wing here, which is going to cost him a lot due to the high speed nature of this track. Obviously less so in the wet weather conditions, because you don't need such downforce at high speed, but obviously still, given the track, it's not going to be easy for him, as Thomas got very close to us on the exit of turn 1. I think he ran it in a bit deep and carried too much speed through the corners. We're now having a look on the McLaren down towards turn 2. I don't think we're close enough. We have a sort of look up the inside, but not really any proper attempt to overtake. He runs deep, and as a result gets a much superior exit to us, so there's nothing we could do there, if I'm honest with you. And we maintain P9 for the moment, but this is good. Our pace is looking better than Midsy. Admittedly, he does have damage, but the next few cars, which is one of them who is Chris, who's still lagging, are just up the road. So if we can clear him pretty quickly, then maybe we can get on after Chris, Dutchman, I think Kush as well, as we head towards the end of sector 2 again. We just carried much more speed through the corner. We tapped the back of him there, which is not really very good driving for myself. He's moved to the left, and we've just gone for a spin there. I mean, probably too eager on the throttle, trying to go for the gap, which had just opened, and we've lost the back end there, and we're down into P12 here. And yeah, that's 100% my fault. Thank you to Midsy, who did message me after the race to check if he did anything wrong, but no, just I think down to the setup, as well as me being a bit too eager, I decided to run 8 ballast, which, as you'll see as the race unfolds, was not a sensible decision due to the tyre wear that results. But coming to the end of lap 4, Midsy has decided to pit, clearly the damage being too much for him, which moves us up into 11th behind Flying Rossi. Sorry if I've said that wrong, but hopefully we'll catch him up pretty quickly. I hope I'm quicker than him, but our pace isn't very good. I'm going to blame the setup, but it's probably also poor driving from me. But I don't understand why I was so far off the pace in the wet, if I'm honest with you. But there we go, these things happen. Hopefully we can bring home a few points, as we've almost run into the back of the Williams into turn 3. They're just a bit too optimistic on the brakes. Luckily desync didn't occur, and he's had a huge fishtail there, and that's us up into the points once again. He just lost the back end there, and as a result we've been able to move ourselves up into P10 here. And yeah, as I was saying, just don't make any more mistakes, and just drive your way through the field. Others will make mistakes in the wet. That's how these races work. People don't practice in the wet in general. Well, I definitely don't. Some people might if they're extra sweaty, as we get a lot of oversteer through the penultimate corner there, and that wasn't a particularly fair track limits warning, but oh well. We'll be hoping to close up to Dragon Pro, who's the next car ahead of us in the Sauber, and hopefully as a result gain points, as he's run very deep into turn 1 there. They must have missed his braking point. He's rejoined on the track. We've got oversteers. We are once again too eager to try and go for the gap, but We do have the superior drive as there's yellow flags for some reason, not particularly sure why, probably Chris's lag, but we are now up into P9 as we head down towards turn 2, but he's gone for the switchback and cut underneath us under the brakes. We have the outside line for turn 2 though, so we should get the superior exit here, and indeed we do as we turn the ERS up, but Rossi's now in on the action as well, as it's going to be a three-way battle for 9th here as we head down towards turn 3. Proximity arrow appears up the inside, it's Dragon Pro, and he's managed to squeeze his way through there. It's just much more confident on the brakes than me, and more oversteer from me there, and he maintains P9 for the time being as we run very wide into turn 5, but luckily the Williams isn't quite close enough to get the move done there, and we remain in position 10 rather. But yeah, Dragon Pro defended that pretty well, if I'm honest with you. He was able to slide it back up the inside without going in too deep, and as a result he's fairly kept position 9 there, and we'll have to try our luck later on in the race as we come to start lap number 9 here. Bibbin gets nicely out of the way as he's lapped. He's having a torrid evening / afternoon here. As we now skip to lap 11, our pace is pretty similar to that of Dragon Pro's, as that's not a legitimate pit entry. So we weren't able to pass him. We're stuck with him as we now head to the pits, and maybe we'll be able to undercut him there, as I think I might have lag tapped him into the pits there, so we might want to check the race director to see if I've accidentally given him a stop go as we head into the pit box. Putting it into reverse so the game will release us, which, as I've just noticed, it hasn't. He got a penalty, but it wasn't a stop go, so it must have been for track limits. Because the game's bad, it doesn't release you, which is stupid. So we've lost a few seconds there for checking the race director, but nothing major, and we're going to rejoin in 12th, I think, no, 13th, behind Womson and ahead of Revolutions here, so not great, but lots of people still yet to pit. We are going for the 2-stop, despite the game saying the 1-stop. Our tyre wear was absolutely atrocious, again I think due to the 8 ballast. Not particularly sure why it didn't work, as there's absolute chaos at the penultimate corner. RH Racing's trying to go in the pits, I think, Womson getting caught out and having to run wide off the track, and we're able to take the position there by going off track just slightly less. But Bromson's going to have a look into turn 1 now. We're going to have to leave him the space on the apex, which we do. We run him very wide, allow him the room on the apex if he wants it, but he doesn't take it, and that's us up into P11, I think, due to RH Racing's pit stop. As Cushmania at the side of the track, I think he's been taken out by Chris's lag, which has promoted us back in the points now, and Midsey, who pitted a few laps earlier than us, is in 9th ahead, so he's trying to stretch his tyres, I'm assuming to do an effective 1-stop, which would have been impossible for us, as Bibbin's getting out of the way again of us a couple of laps later, but luckily we didn't get damage on lap 1, because otherwise we would have been absolutely screwed, because the tyre wear was atrocious for us as we head into the penultimate corner on lap number 15 or 16 there, and we've almost run into the back of the McLaren of Midsey, but not quite. But as a result, we've compromised our speed through the final corner, and we're not going to be able to have a run into turn 1. We've now caught up to Dragon Pro, who we lost about 5 seconds to in the pit stops due to changing our, trying to check the race director. But our pace has been better on these tyres, well, at least that is until they blow up, which is probably going to happen very soon. But Midsey's had a look around that side, he's got the move done before the braking zone. Is Dragon going to go back up the inside? Yes, he is. They squeezed him wide. Hopefully we can get the better exit, but no, we can't. Midsey and Dragon are still going side by side. We should pick up the slipstream here, but I'm thinking sensibly, there's no point making it 3 wide in these conditions. We'll just sit back and hope chaos goes on. Dragon's gone way too deep into the corner. We're going to be able to cut back the Sauberman, and we have indeed managed to do that and get the move done here up into P9. As next up is the McLaren of Midsey, who were almost pushing through these corners. To be fair, his tyres are very second hand at this point. He's been on them 13-14 laps as we head through the end of sector 2, and we've got an opportunity here. This time we haven't thrown it in the wall, and Midsey just backs out there, so thank you to Midsey if you are watching, which I think you are. You say you enjoy my videos, so thank you very much for that one, and thank you for letting me through there and allowing us to take 8th place here in the Austrian Grand Prix. But we're almost 15 seconds behind Tomas due to all the chaos which has unfolded as the proximity arrow comes flying up inside of Midsey. Dragon going for an outrageous dive bomb there, which he was unsurprisingly not able to pull off, as we now skip on to lap number 22, coming through the penultimate corner. That's a lot of oversteer, and we've got a puncture there. We've also got a penalty, which was only our second warning, and decided to go lawn mowing to get to the pits, but I think I was justified in taking that line. I mean, I don't think you can really expect me to drive a whole lap with a puncture when the pit lane is just there. Well, I don't know. Comment below if you think I was outrageous in cutting across the grass to get to the pit lane. But yeah, we have got a penalty for the track limits, which was questionable, but I probably won't bother getting it removed unless it affects my position. I'll probably get more warnings anyway now, so it doesn't hugely matter as we drop down to P9 here behind Dylan in the Sauber, who still needs to pit, I believe, so we shouldn't need to get the move done on track, but if we are quicker, we'll probably go for it. But we now need to do 14 laps on these tyres, and given the previous set punctured after 11, yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, I'll just be more careful in this stint. I've got no real need to push. I'm not going to catch Tomas and Chris, unless my pace is absolutely godly, which it clearly hasn't been, in case you hadn't noticed from the previous 10 plus minutes of this video. As we've got a good run on Dylan as we head down towards turn 5, but we're not quite close enough. Dylan is new for this week as a reserve. You may recognise him from ILR2 as well. But yeah, we'll be hopefully battling and passing him pretty soon because he does appear to be pretty slow. I'm guessing that's due to one tyres, and we're just going to go clean around the outside of him before we even get to turn 8, and I think he's backed out of that one. So that's us back up into P8, and Chris Macker-Jones, the next car ahead of us. And he is still battling Tomas over 6th, but I think the gap is too steep as Dylan comes into the pits at the end of that lap actually, and the gap is still nearly 15 seconds, so unless something sensational happens, it's the fastest lap of the race, unbelievable scenes, but the gap's still over 14 seconds, so I suspect we won't be catching those guys with now only 8 laps to go as we head round the penultimate corner here, as we're going to lap Revolution, who's disconnected and had probably bad luck as well in this race, so unfortunate for him. He kindly gets out of the way and we'll give him a quick little weave to thank him there. So thank you Revolution 2 if you're watching for making that nice and easy for me. Chris Macker-Jones and Tomas are still battling up ahead, but the gap is too much as we now skip on to lap number, I don't know, I can't see it, whatever this is, that's a very harsh penalty. I think it was 29. I can't see it. Yes, it was 29, and yeah, we've got our second penalty, which was from only 3 warnings from running wide at the penultimate final corner there, but it doesn't matter. Final lap now. We did close on Chris and Tomas quite a lot, as you might have been able to see Chris's car heading towards the line there, but at the end of the day it didn't matter as we crashed across the line once again, and it's going to be 8th place for us here. Mitzi got a puncture on the last lap, so we weren't under threat due to our penalties, so I didn't bother getting them removed. But it's Bonkers who takes the win here. He becomes the second driver to win 2 races this season, and he's joined by Jamie once again, taking his 3rd consecutive podium, and my teammate Dutchman pulling off a pretty impressive drive from 8th to take 3rd. Commiserations to Palzeri, who got a puncture on the penultimate lap whilst attempting the 1-stop and almost pulling it off, which would have made him the 8th different winner in 9 races if he'd managed it, but unfortunately not quite the case. The results are on screen about now. I don't know who finished where. If I'm honest, I think Palzeri finished 5th, Tomas 6th and Chris 7th. It's on screen now. I'm not sure who finished 4th. Apologies. It's me 8th, Dylan 9th and Midzi 10th. I'm sorry whoever I've forgotten in 4th place. It's Josu who finished 4th. But yeah, we remain 7th in the championship. We've actually gained points on Midzi this week. And Dazfel, who's the next car ahead of us because he wasn't able to race for connection issues. So hopefully we can have a stronger race next time out in Britain. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. Goodbye.